I
All
see
right.
recording.
Yep. Oh, you do? Cool.
Yeah.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Hada! I always go first. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Side-by-Sideshow.
The
Sun
Dear
Dragon.
Becky and Lizzy edition.
Sorry.
Yes.
Let's try it
It's
again. Welcome to the Sun Dragon Side-by-Side show.
the Dear Becky and Lizzy an anniversary edition.
Yes, and I'm not going to edit any of that out because, we're keeping it real.
Sure.
So here's the deal. We both have power at our houses, which is a good thing, right? Yes. And it wasn't quite as bad overnight. This is why we still have power at our houses as we thought it was going to be, as we told you about yesterday. But we're still taking the day and not going into the shop. So you can't quite see out my window. You can't tell. And actually some of it's melting, but all the trees are icy. And my watch is yelling at me. And the roads might be okay, but they might not in places. And Western North Carolina mountains, we didn't want to take chances with elevation and curvy roads and stuff like that. So, by the way, I'm Rebecca. I'm the owner of Sun Dragon Art and Fiber in downtown Brevard, North Carolina, which is rainy and cold and nasty right now.
I'm Liz. I'm the Minion there.
Yes. And yeah, so we told you we try to do a sideshow if we could, and we have power, so we can, but we won't be at the shop. I've already canceled all the appointments for, there weren't any appointments, but I canceled the ability to make appointments for the day in preparation. I've put stuff on social media. We will still have people who don't get any of those kind of notifications who come by the shop and are like, why aren't you here? Because if you live in Brevard, things might be fine because Brevard is down low. Personally, I'm up high or higher. So
I have to kind of go over the mountains and through the woods to get there too.
Yeah. And I don't know, Liz, you said you experienced a thunderstorm last night, and so did I, like early morning.
It was the mother of, like, even our summer thunderstorms have not, like,
ours wasn't that bad.
Me up. And wow. I mean, it was like it parked over our house for over an hour.
Oh.
And like, it was between 5 and 5:30, and I was like, I just want to sleep. And I had the window closed and the TV on, and it sounded like I had the window open, and you could hear the pouring rain, and the thunder just didn't stop. And I was like, but I want to sleep. And it was like, no. So yeah, it was.
I heard thunder, but it sounded somewhat far away. It sounded like someone was dumping really big, heavy objects into the dumpster behind the shop.
It was at my house. You heard it at my house.
Yeah. I saw lightning when I opened my eyes. And I was like, huh. And that was, between 4 and 6 in the morning, I think, closer to 6. When we were supposed to be last night, the forecast was saying like 2 inches of snow an hour. That never happened. We got woken up. I got up right after 4 to feed the cat just to get him off my back.
Keep him happy.
And then not long after that, we heard this big, like, cluttery sound in this back room where I'm filming right now. And it sounded like the cat had jumped up on something and the whole thing had fallen over. And so we got up. We're like, what's that? What we think happened, we think a branch fell on the back skylights up here, or the back roof. And we don't see any damage. So that's the good news. There are a couple of branches that narrowly missed my car out front. So there's been damage. And that's the other thing about this area, is you can get trees down like nobody's business, especially like the roads may be fine, but we could have ice on limbs and trees down between me and the shop. And I'm just not going to worry, not going to take the chance. Just yeah. I'm good. We're staying home today. Everyone should stay home today and not come bother us at the shop because we're not there.
So. We're not there. And it's not that they're a bother. We're not there. So,
you will be bothered because you will go to the shop and we won't be there.
Yeah.
So while my brain is on it, I am trying out 12-inch needles for the first time, because trying to knit my sorrel sleeves inside out. I'm also trying to knit while doing this. This will be interesting. Trying to knit my sorrel sleeves inside out because the pearls need to be on the outside. I was getting laddering even with my magic loop. So I'm trying 12-inch needles. I'm realizing, no, I think I have stitch markers. Okay, I'm realizing when I magic loop, I don't need stitch markers, because when I get to one of the divisions, it's the beginning of the row. But doing it on 12-inch needles, I'll actually need a stitch marker for the beginning of the row. So we'll see how this goes. It should be mindless knitting and just changing skeins when I hit the beginning of the row. We'll see what happens. What are you working on, Liz?
I'm on the final edge row and of my blue crochet thing. And yesterday, as I'm working across, like, it calls for picots at the top of the tallest point things, and I was like, I really don't like the look, because I'm not blocking the shawl, and picots just don't sit right if you don't block them. And so I was like, ooh, for another shawl, I had ordered some beads. They were freshwater pearls, and they're gorgeous blue, and they'd sit really, really pretty on this. And I was like, I bet I could sew them on. Even if I can't pull the yarn through them, I bet I can sew them on. I couldn't. I for like 2 hours last night, I sat there and tried every.
Does that mean that they aren't going to work on anything you bought them for because you can't get a sewing needle through them?
I'll probably have to get like beading sewing, like the really thin bend it, break it sewing needles to do that. But I even pulled out my antique crochet hooks, like, and tried to stick them
small
through.
The camera can't focus on them.
Yeah, it's like, I'll put my finger behind it to, you know, it's like super teeny tiny, and I could get them part of the way through, but they're designed for necklaces. But I was like, I bet I could sew them on, and I can't. So I was like, okay, plan B. I have a bunch of seed beads that doubled sport weight will actually pull through. So I, on the little bumps, I'm doing a tiny little one white pearl or seed bead in there, and then I am hand sewing picots of seed beads on the big ones, and it actually, I like the look. So
yeah, that's pretty.
Yeah. They're not the right blue, but it'll be fine. It'll be
fine. No, I think that's gonna be really pretty. Well, the other thing was we were like, if we have power, we've got to film today, because it's our 365-day anniversary. I'm feeling like this should be closer to my face, so I'm almost the same size as you, but oh well. The way that my filming station is set up is different than yours, so we're just going to be different sizes, but you know, it's all good. Yeah, this is the actual date, physical date, not day of the week, but physical date that we started filming a year ago. Crazy. So
a year ago the day, we had a snow day, and this year we're having an ice day,
an ice mental health day.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, this is, I'm trying to focus on two things at once. It's gonna be crazy. Look how teeny tiny little. This isn't even the 9-inch ones are the ones that people make socks on. This is a 12-inch, which we carry a limited resource of them here at the shop, and I forget if they're online or not. Actually, I should check. We're out of 5s because I'm using this one, but I'm going to attempt to finally get to the sleeves on my sorrel sweater, and then
that's going to be so pretty.
Done. Yeah, because I have so many sweaters on needles I need to get something done so I can actually wear a new sweater. People have seen me in like the same 3 or 4 sweaters like for a year.
For a
No,
year.
I've
Yeah.
actually made some of them during the year that we've been filming, but people
It's
have
still
seen
March,
the same
so
sweaters. So, and this is all twisty over here. Look, this is all my
ooh,
my 2 skeins. I need to untwist them, and I will eventually. You know, it'll happen. Yeah, it's been one long March, not since we started filming, because we started filming in February, but as soon as March hit, it's been March forever. So,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Um, but no, other things I was thinking about since it's been a year. Like I go back and look at the first ones that we filmed and I'm like, wow, the quality looks so good. And I remember that's because I was filming with my phone. Like we had my phone set up on a little itty bitty tripod. We had no idea what was in screen and what wasn't. Like if you watch some of the earliest episodes, I'm like, I hope you can see this. It's kind of annoying. Before I learned tricks like film with the backside camera because it's almost as good as the front. And it's just easier. I mean, I think we started filming with my computer
When you got the new one.
when I got the new one, but also when we started having to do the side by side.
Yeah.
I might have filmed some of the early side by sides on my old computer because that was the only way I haven't gone back and watched those. Like I for the most part don't watch any of them because it's weird to watch myself.
Yeah.
That's just really weird. But I think when we started the side by side, I remember the panic and the stress and everything of trying to figure out how can we film when I had sent you home.
Yeah.
And was it possible? And then when we just stumbled across the whole Zoom thing and how we can film, like if I tried to film on my phone, it would flip back and forth between us and it wouldn't have a
That's right. You
side
had to, yeah, that's right. Because we spent a few days
experimenting.
playing around with ideas like, hey, will this work? Will this not work? Like on my phone, I see my little camera or my little picture and you, but with the computer, we could get side by side. And then it was like, well, which
It was fun.
side are we actually on?
And I had to figure out that I'm reversed. So I have to point like this if I want to be pointing at you. And yeah. And some people who are watching were thrown off because right now it looks like we're sitting, to me, it looks like we're sitting like we do at the table. But it's flipped. Like you get a reverse image on Zoom from what is actually recorded. So, so when we're filming with the screen, like in the shop, with the screen showing us, what I'm looking at has me on the right and you on the left of what I'm looking at, but it's flipped when we're actually, anyway, yeah. So there's that. The craziness we have been through in the past year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We've settled into a routine now though. And so it was like, well, we're not going to the shop, but we have power. So we should film. So every once in a while, y'all get to experience the side-by-side show.
Well, and we did side-by-side specials like over Thanksgiving and over Christmas and like
we're not supposed to be at the shop because people will knock on the door.
Yeah. So the side-by-side has been a great thing. Like
yeah. Exactly. And so like we hang out over FaceTime all the time when we're not at the shop. Believe it or not, like, we talk to each other every day.
If only just text, like, hey, this morning
we should take a break from each other, but we don't. So
this morning it's what's the weather at your house? And then it's, paragraphs long from both of us going back and forth. And finally somebody just hits the FaceTime and yeah.
But I was in my PJs. That's why I didn't hit the FaceTime, Liz. Anyway, so yeah, I was kind of struggling and I'm still feeling guilty about not going in because the roads might be fine, but A, there's a pandemic going on, and B, people should not be driving in this weather, and C, yesterday we only had 4 or 5 people in the shop, and that might be the most we get today. and D, I didn't let anyone sign up for appointments, so they'd have to stay outside in the rain. And there's so many reasons that I have to get over my guilt trip of not opening the shop and just rest today. So,
What? A rest day? I mean,
oh, yeah.
we will be, working on projects for the shop, but
yeah. Oh, I've got them all littered around here. Like right now I'm working on the sleeves for my sorrel. I think I'm about an inch into this, but I was changing yarns differently, and this is the outside, and I don't like how that looks.
Oh no.
So I might have to restart it. But that's what happens when you don't do the pull it to the inside, flip them around, pull them back to the outside. This is the sleeve on the seam right now. And when you do the pull around and flip around, and this is the seam. I like this seam much better. This is the seam down. Remember when you were like, there's a line, but that line is very different.
Very different.
My sleeve line. So
yeah.
So there's that.
Well,
I wasn't liking how the transition was anyway. So it's okay to rip this out.
And you had some laddery issues going on that
that I wasn't.
It's a multiple fix.
So now I have the day to sit here and work on that, because I've also got this was my morning meditation. If people want to check out me working on my botanical lace wrap, which I am so not going to work on camera right now, because that's pretty intricate for I was having trouble focusing on just knitting, but I can work on this today. I could work on my honey moss today. I could work on my multiple sweaters that I've started today, other than this one that I'm currently taking off the needles and ripping the sleeve back. So what are you going to do, Liz, once you finish your shawl that you're almost done with?
Once I finish this, I have, a multitude of a kaleidoscope of papillons.
Oh my gosh.
I could work on.
Shout out to the person, I think it's Frogget or something like that. They commented on yesterday's VSC. So is Liz going to make a papillon out of the striping acrylic? Like the major that we advertised yesterday? And I was like, no.
I
put a question mark and said, Liz, and shout out to you if you're watching right now. And I replied to the comment. I said, Liz doesn't make papillons out of everything in the shop.
The one acrylic blend that I keep getting intrigued by to do a papillon with is the tweed out of the Encore tweed.
Like, the Encore tweed would be cute. Well, see, the Encore would have a color changey version, not like the major, but more like their version of the feeder book. So
wanting to do it's one of the kits I think we put up online where it's the 6 changes and you mix them up, the moth version.
I don't even have all of it in the shop anymore, like in stock right now, but we did make a kit and put it on.
But my brain keeps going back to I should really do that one because it's a cost. It's most of my papillons are cost prohibitive for a lot of people, but
you work at
I work at a yarn shop. Like I talked to one of my friends and we were discussing we were discussing jobs, and I'm like, the only reason I work is to pay for my drugs, which happen to be yarn and notions, and
and to keep me alive. So
to keep you alive. Yes. It just
that's important.
So it's very important, because if I'm going to buy yarn, which is my drugs, I need to keep my drug dealer alive to do that. So
so I'm going to mention the sale, and I'll probably mention it again at the end, and then we should do Dear Becky and Lizzy while I attempt to put this back on needles without losing too many of my stitches. But since it's our anniversary, I figured, I will always take any excuse I can to have a sale. So I'm just gonna have to fix that differently later. I'm gonna be slightly distracted. So it went live this morning, but we have a code to save you 10% in the shop. And it's just the word sideshow, no spaces. I don't think it's gonna matter if it's caps or not, but the word sideshow in the online shop at checkout will save you 10%. So, and it's gonna be where I set it to go all the way through Monday night. So you get a good, like 5-day weekend basically out of this. Save some money. It basically, it may not sound like a lot, 10%, but if you buy a lot, you save a lot, because that 10% will start to be a lot of money. So anyway, but yeah, that's celebrating our anniversary. Yay. And we have one Dear Becky and Lizzy, and then if we have time, we can keep talking about stuff. But I'm thinking that is gonna potentially answering this question could, us, we could talk about stuff forever. So,
Yeah.
And since you have the letter, I get to pick up my stitches. So
sweet. She sends us beautiful cards.
Yes.
Our letter writer.
Very pretty.
She also
read the card or the piece of paper. Oh my gosh, Liz did this to me. Liz read it first, and then she's like, read the card and then read the paper that came with it. And I'm like, okay. And I muddled through, and I basically was able to read everything on the card. And what's the piece of paper, Liz?
The piece of paper says, okay, so I realized my handwriting wasn't so great, so here's a transcript.
I could read it, but
I could read her handwriting.
But she made me go through the same thing she went through.
Yeah. So sincerely, what's a budget? I'm gonna read the transcript just because it's easier. Thank you.
I'm gonna prep a picture which goes along with this. So yeah.
Okay. Dear Becky and Lizzy, if Tom Haverford and Donna Meagle were into fiber crafts and decided to bring you along as their guide on Treat Yourself Day, where would you guide them first? Furls, crochet hooks, signature knitting needles, cashmere yarn, or something else entirely? Basically, I'm asking which luxuries in the fiber art world are totally awesome, but their only downside is their cost. Hashtag treat yourself. Sincerely, what's a budget?
Okay, and I have to show you all this. So to explain this for people who aren't familiar, the idea of treat yourself is from Parks and Rec. Wonderful show, awesome. And this is I'm forgetting people's names now that I'm looking at it. It's Tom and Tom Haverford. You just read the names.
And Donna Meagle.
Donna. So here they are. Treat yourself. This is the funny thing, is the person who sent this in, I don't think knew us last year. But 1 year ago, basically to the day that we got this letter, I had a sale last year that was a Valentine's Day flash sale, and it was treat yourself. Because their thing is have 1 day a year where you splurge and money is no object and you get whatever you want. And they have this back and forth of like, diamonds, treat yourself, do this, treat yourself. It's all about being good to yourself for 1 day a year. And there's funny, ridiculous things about how they have the money to do that, but that's neither here nor there. But I had last year, that was the preface for our sale, was be nice to yourself, buy some stuff for yourself. Don't wait for someone else to do it. Treat yourself. And so it's so fitting that this letter came in right around Valentine's Day time. And I was gonna maybe do a variation on a theme of that treat yourself thing for the sales, for the Valentine's Day sale we had this past day on Valentine's Day. But we got that letter and I'm like, nope, can't do it, because then it looks like I stole it from her when I'd already done it, but I didn't want to do it again. Anyway, that's a squirreling side tangent. but that was these are the characters that the letter's talking about, and the words on top of it are totally mine. Like that's from the scene in the show. The words on top of it are my addition to make it Sun Dragon appropriate. So I struggle with this one a little bit because other than the things that are already mentioned in the letter, like Furl's crochet hooks are really fancy hooks. I don't think they're ergonomically designed for how I hold a crochet hook. So I'm okay. Unless I was going to experiment with them. Signature knitting needles, which we do not carry in the shop, are wicked expensive. That's my New Englander side coming out. And really, they can be really sharp and pointy, and everyone absolutely loves them. So of course that would be on my list. But I got to think of other things, you know, like that's the whole point of the letter. What do you think, Liz?
I was thinking, you know, like what I really, really want is a German spinning wheel. But that either requires a trip to Germany or like.
But money and everything, you know, no object.
Money is no object. So
if money, or you know, wheel, having it shipped from Germany, no object. You would want
no object.
What is up with a German spinning wheel that makes it so like, oh my gosh,
it's just like all the spinning wheels I see here, they're Canadian, they're Australian, they're American, whatever. They all have pretty much the same look. Like there's subtle differences, but they all have the same look. And the German ones that I've looked at, they look completely like more, not necessarily more modern, but almost more industrial. Like they're
it's the look
metal. Yeah, it's the look. And they're completely different. And I just, every time I go on Pinterest and I see them and I'm like, I need that. I have no place in my house to put that, but I need it. So if money was no object, I'd have to get one.
I think we should be doing money is no object. Space in the house is not the object.
Yeah.
It's not the, you know, it's not so much, because the whole idea of treat yourself is not about like what you need, what you want. It is about what you want, right? But it's not so much about like what will work. It's about just doing it, right? So I would say that should definitely be on your list. I'm thinking for me, it would probably be like yarn I don't usually have access to, which is a lot of yarn I don't have in the shop because I have to knit with what's in the shop. Like I would love some luscious colors of Lola Bean yarn. Because that's not necessarily a money thing, although it's fine quality yarn and hand dyed and super luscious. And so it's not cheap, but it's also not the most expensive thing out there, but it's limited. It's hard to get your hands on it because she works her butt off and everyone loves it. So they scarf it up real fast. And I've inquired about bringing it into the shop, but it's hard enough when you are an indie dyer to and trying to make a living at it. We have some indie dyers we have in the shop. It may not be their main source of income. But when it's your main source of income, then you've got to cut profits with a yarn store too. You end up not making much money off of it. And so again, we don't have it in my shop, so I don't tend to knit with it because I have to knit with what's in the shop because people will go, ooh, I want that. And I'll be like, I can't sell it to you. I could knit with her stuff and say, go buy it from her because I'd love people to support her.
But because
there are a million indie dyers like that, you know, that I would like to support. And they're
when you've done that as private projects, people have always gone, but I want the same yarn you use. And you're like, go talk to this place. No, I want to get it from you. And
I want to support you. And I'm like, well, support that too, you know? Yeah.
And it's a catch-22.
It's catch-22. So that's more of a logistical thing. What? You're opening your mouth. What?
Oh, I was going to say the other thing, and I think I mentioned this to you, was like going and visiting either places that are famous for yarn, like Scotland, or, you know, I'd love to go to Russia and look at the Russian goat lace. It's the same, or, you know, it's the same stuff as in Scotland, only it's in Russia. And, but like, or go to Lorna's Laces and like go visit the locations if money was no object and time, and we had somebody else to run the shop. You and I could
there's a lot of like, the treat yourself would be like, the shop is closed, we are going to visit all of the small batch dyers that we love.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Take the show on the road and be like, so today we are at,
and we started right before the world fell apart. We started that. We went to Silver Threads, which was just a local yarn shop, but we started that kind of idea of we're going to venture out. And then the pandemic hit and we stopped going places. But I think if money was no object, I get really fancy yarn, pretty yarn that I like, the cashmere that we have in mass quantities to make sweaters and fancy objects and things like that. I think I would, if time and energy and everything else, if the functionality of it was no object, because that's like you're saying, you don't have space in your shop, right? If it wasn't like I don't have time for this, so I'm not going to do it, so I'm not going to buy it. If that fits the definition, then like a really fancy spinning wheel or a floor loom, these are all hobbies that crafts that I want to be engaged in, but I just don't have time. Like learning to spin, learning to weave like big intricate designs, not just, I have a little, I've got my stand here for my little Cricut, and it's somewhere over there, but the Cricut's like this wide, and a rigid heddle loom, and I've used it like 3 times. And if I could have the time and energy, I would get a floor, and it wouldn't fit in the house too, a big floor loom where I could make tapestries. I'd love to do that. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. So interchangeable needles of all shapes and sizes, obviously.
I might even commission a set, and you'd have to hire the lawyers to get around all the patents, but I want needles that are as slick as Addie's, at the pointiest tips, with the Chowgy cords. And I don't care whether they're interchangeable or not. Like, I'll buy one in every size because money is no object. But, and you've got to have lawyers to get around all the patents and the whatnot. But I
that's
have it in my
yourself.
head.
You would pay people. You would pay all the fees and the fines and the You try to make a way to make it work that Addie wouldn't get upset with you.
Addie's and Chowgoos and like probably Signature, and like I want the pointiest points on the slickest of slick needles with a Chowgoo cable,
with the memory-free cable.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm trying to think of what else. Like, I mean, a lot of the things I do, it's because I have it is inventory in my shop. So it's branching out to spend money on things that aren't inventory in my shop, and honestly, I don't know if I've done enough of the research on the products that would be the top quality products, because I have good quality products in my shop. I think I don't necessarily have top tier of everything, and that's okay, because then I can offer people the medium level affordable stuff, right?
We have some,
so
like, we don't sell Ferrari and Porsche, but we've got some nice Volvos, like we
I like to think that we have some Subarus, they're not cheap, but they're functional.
But some of our hand dyed, we have some yarn with cashmere in it. We have some yarn with yak in it. We even have a couple of, the fun size little matchbox cars that are Ferraris.
You say fun size, I think it's like bite-sized candy.
Yeah, the fun size. But like we have some, we have 50-gram balls of cashmere, which is a luxury yarn. But and then we have some indie dyers, and we have great, fantastic. They're higher than a Subaru. But we also have, other,
Speaking of the fancier yarns, we were talking about like Kivet and Buffalo and the really, really soft yarns, that kind of thing.
Oh yeah.
That dinging is Brian over there, but it's all good. So
I would love to, yak and civet and possum. I want possum.
Oh, possum. Not the possum that's roadkill outside in this area. It's a different possum, right?
It's the New Zealand possum. It's the brush-tailed possum. If you look at a picture, they're actually really, really cute. They have this big bushy tail, and that's what they spin. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
I'd have to knit sweaters out of possum for Squiggles and Wiggles.
Sweaters. I guess
Squiggles and Wiggles.
they need sweaters out of possum or buffalo down or something. Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For those that don't know, Squiggles and Wiggles are my mink. They're antique mink stoles, but yeah. They won't make an appearance today. They're here.
Oh boy. Yeah, well, I'm trying to think of what else, especially as it applies to like the fiber crafts.
Yeah.
And I'm coming up kind of dry, but it's really the accessories and because I hear you guys talking about the fancy wheels. By the way, I have a knitter who is trying to not get rid of, but she's trying to sell because she's no longer using it, a really good Victoria spinning wheel, and she's selling it for like half the price of what it would be bought new, and it's in really good condition, and there's been no takers on it yet, which I was really surprised by. And I don't know, for people watching who are not local, I don't know what the deal would be in trying to ship it or something, but if anyone was interested, they should definitely contact me. So
yeah, contact the shop. We'll pass along the details. And
yeah.
Okay.
I'm trying to, sorry, I got distracted for a minute because I have this back on needles, and I'm finally changing by bringing the yarn to the inside, flipping it, and bringing it back to the outside. So I had to make sure that was going right for a second. It's funny because I don't often dream about like what I would want if money was no object, like I think I would want to try to knit with or learn to spin really exotic fibers, like I think that would be really cool. And have swatches of all the different colors because we have people who come by and want that. And
do you have a swatch in this colorway?
It's like, I like this, but do you have it knit up in this colorway instead?
Yeah.
We don't have the finances to be able to do that, or the time, or that kind of thing. But sometimes it's just take a gamble. If
time and money were no object, we could, pay somebody to knit swatches for us.
But that means giving up control. I can't do that.
Time and money are no object. We would be somewhere else taking the show on the road, visiting all these really cool things and people.
Oh my gosh, and that would be so fun.
Yeah.
But I also, it's been fun sharing the journey of keeping the shop alive with the YouTube world. But wouldn't it be fun to do some other stuff with that too? Yeah.
It could be. We're learning to spin with slow TV in Norway. Like,
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be very cool. I want to get through a couple more rounds of this so I can show people how the seam's going to be different. But, we've already been filming for quite a bit, actually.
Yeah.
And it might just be that y'all have to come see, like, I literally have taken it back down to the core here, and I've just only done a couple rows, so you can't even tell. But y'all just might have to come to the dual platform sit and stitch. That almost came out as bad words. This weekend. So we've got, because nothing happened with the power today. We should be a go. I'm probably jinxing myself, but we should be a go for virtual sit and stitch tomorrow night, which is 6 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. with the shop phone number on Zoom. Click join on Zoom and put in the shop phone number, which is
hold on. Handy dandy reference card. It's 828-877-3550.
Yep. And I'm noticing there might be a major issue over here. No, wait. Sorry guys, pause for a second. My stitch holder for my other sleeve was like this. And I saw this end and went, uh-oh. I just got it all solved. Okay. So come join us, but the place where you'll more likely see what's been happening with my sleeves is Saturday. We only do it once a month. It's this Saturday is the Saturday afternoon dual platform sit and stitch. So same thing for Zoom, only it's 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday. And I also will have Facebook Live going. So this is kind of what you'll see on Facebook Live, my screen right here. And Zoom gets to see everybody else who's hanging out on Zoom. Facebook Live gets to hear them and gets to see me. And I'll probably hold it up and show you how it's going on the sleeve.
It's been one of those for a lot of people. If you're nervous about joining a group or you have a lot of noise in the background or whatever, a lot of people stay on Facebook. And then when, people have come to Facebook several times and then they're comfortable with, hey, I'll go join Zoom.
Want to go see what Zoom's all about.
Yeah. And so.
And Facebook also can work better for people who, the Zoom needs kind of a lot of bandwidth for some people. Like in the mountains here in North Carolina, that we have local people who join Zoom and it's a little spotty because Zoom has the upload and download, things going on to have the camera work. So sometimes you can join Zoom and not put your camera on and it works better. And you still get to see everybody else because it's only what your device is downloading, not uploading as well, right? But for some people, Facebook is more what their bandwidth capacity can handle. Mm-hmm. So it's still a way to hang out because then you can type comments in. And I tend to try to catch all the comments as they come in and respond to them verbally because typing is not going to happen. Because A, knitting, and B, my computer is not where the keyboard is easier, is not what's doing the Facebook. So, it's always an adventure. But those are the fun things happening this weekend. So even though we're not at the shop today, mental health, staying safe for possible treacherous conditions outside day, you can hang out with us a whole bunch this weekend and you can save money. And you can think about and tell us in the comments below, if money was no object and you had to treat yourself, what would you get? What are you hankering for and saying and drooling over that you would get if you didn't have to worry about, keeping the lights on? And every once in a while, if possible, treating yourself is a really good thing. We were talking about this with some of our knitters the other day. And I'm not just saying this because I want my shop to stay afloat, although I do. Sometimes retail therapy, and when it's combined with craft therapy, is actually really good for you. You do have to consider your budget and maybe stay within your budget. But sometimes you should just splurge and get the pretty yarn. So, and make something nice for yourself out of it. Not for anyone else, but for you. That's okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so here's how I'm changing this is I just finished my row and I'm going to pull the yarn to the front, to the inside and switch it out with the other yarn to the outside and start knitting with it. And let me just get a couple of stitches over here. And other than where I joined the second yarn, there's no carry happening, right? There's too few rows to see right now, but doing that might leave a divot there, but it's not going to leave a line like I just ripped out. So I'm glad I switched to these needles because I wouldn't have, I wouldn't have paid attention to that until it was too late and I'd be sad. And then I call it a decorative element and just do the same thing on the other sleeve. So, act like it was supposed to be that way. Haha. All right. Any parting thoughts, Liz, or are we good to go?
I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, join us next week for, normal sideshow.
We should, weather will be fine, so we should be back in the shop next week. We should be back in the shop tomorrow. We're just not there today. So we're gonna sign off and we're gonna go work on knitting stuff, maybe, and crochet stuff. Yay! And you can.
I'm gonna get this shawl done. I'm gonna get this shawl done.
You're gonna get that shawl done today, definitely. And then you all can see our progress on Tuesday. You can see it on some of it on Saturday if you join one of the platforms. You'll see some of the progress I'm making. I have so many different projects that I might make this much progress on each one, but if you're paying attention, you'll see it. So okay, we love y'all. We miss you. Even those we haven't met, welcome to our community. If it's your first time watching us, please consider subscribing. We saw all these cool stats. I was going to talk about that earlier and I didn't, and we should go now. But we saw really cool stats when I went back, because you know me in numbers, and I looked at the whole year. And it's about 50-50, maybe 60-40 of subscribed people watching us and not subscribed people watching us. But the subscribers tend to watch more. So there's that. And we had someone in New Zealand, I want to say, maybe 1 or 2 people in New Zealand who are watching substantial amounts of our stuff. So shout out to New Zealand. Hi. No idea if you're still watching, but that's cool because we already have the UK and Canada. And there were a couple other countries that came up, but the substantial one was New Zealand, which I'm just like, that's awesome. So
that's so cool.
So cool. All right. We love y'all. We miss you. Stay safe. Don't drive in the ice. Bye.
Bye.